Okay. I got it. Here we go. All right, you want to introduce? Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, welcome to another episode of Inside Out Mad.
Lot going on, and the biggest one of the biggest points I want to bring up right now is counterfeit toxin,
Okay.
and you know, people are able to get away with charging annually, meaning monthly. This is just their standard around prices at Botox $6 a unit, $5 a unit, $7 a unit, etc. And it's because they're buying it from overseas. It's counterfeit.
Imagine if you had a gas station open up and they were undercutting everyone else's prices by half. And it would be like,
Is
it's
it
just not
gas?
possible.
Yeah.
It can't be like legitimate gasoline. But nobody questions this kind of stuff when it comes to Botox for some reason. Like, if it's below cost, how can you sell it? It's insane.
There's one thing with an introductory offer, right? To show a patient how, you want to get a patient in, show them your process, sure. But I mean, because you could call a lot of clinics, especially down in this area, like Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and it's just like you've got $5 a unit, $6 a unit. Well, why don't you think why don't you think patients question that? They're just like, okay.
Not only should they question the fact that it's priced so low, but question what kind of operation is going to price something so low. Like what kind of employees are going to have injectors, etc. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of red flags there. I mean, it's going to be a sleazy operation from the get-go. And that means you're going to have probably not the best providers. And who knows what other cost-cutting measures they're implementing.
It's so funny because when I see it, when we have a Groupon patient come in, they're like, why do you guys do this? Like, why is everything so great? I've never had an experience like this. And I'm like, well, we do it to show you, we want you to be here, right? To show you what it should be like. But that just kind of goes to show like what's going on, because those types of practices are doing that year round, right? Rather than a one per patient thing, they're able to afford it year round. And I saw that actually the our Port St. Lucie Allergan rep, she was like, Allergan just shut down this clinic because their their sales far surpassed what they were ordering. So they're like, where are you getting your product from? Right. So they saw that they were advertising and utilizing so much Botox, but they were like, you haven't, it doesn't meet demand. Supply doesn't meet demand. How are you able to sustain that? Right. Where are you getting your product from? Because you're not getting it from us. And they shut them down, or supposedly, I mean, I don't know the name of them. This is what she was telling me, but she was like, they supposedly shut them down. And it's like, I mean, it's, wrong, right? I mean, it's also like, if you were to, let's say, request your documents, right, or request anything, there's going to be a lot. We talked about this a little bit more so with peptides and stuff, but there's going to be a lot number in there, right? Because we require that the provider puts that lot number in there, so you could track that product. And let's say one of these clinics, it wasn't charting or was charting, and then it came about subpoenas. They need to show records. What do you think What do you think they do? You think they forge a document? You think they come up with a fake lot number? What do you think happens in that case? Yeah, you can't even get out. You can't. You're done, right?
They could use the same lot number,
Mm.
for everything they do.
Yeah, because it's like a solo practitioner, right? So they've got no one.
And you know, only way you'd find out is if you audited all the charts and saw the same lot number and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's all sorts of ways around it, but eventually you're going to get caught if enough investigation is performed.
It's the same with all products, though, because because we've got patients that, you see it where they're like, Botox isn't working for me anymore. So you switch them to another product. And we, you have people who use Dysport, and it's not actually from Galderma, or using Zeoma, and it's actually not from MERS, or they're using Daxxify, it's not actually from Revance, or they're selling you Botox, but they're not actually giving you Botox.
Yeah, and that's obvious. I think that's more common than everybody realizes. You know, when you can inject a different toxin for half the price and the patient has similar outcome, you're gonna tell them you're getting Botox, and they might be getting Xeomin or Lativo or
Lativo's got to be the most god awful product
yeah,
I've ever seen.
and
We tried it, and it just was. We had, I mean, we had to retreat so much because
remember that you don't hear about it anymore, right?
no,
It's like I don't know what happened to them.
there was that big South Korean craze with skincare and stuff, and then they kind of hit on that. I was like, we'll give it a go, place a decent size order, and I just everyone had it. Some patients loved it, but it wasn't enough to keep it, right? Because the satisfaction guarantee you to do so many touch ups with different products didn't make sense. But I mean, obviously, like Xeomin, right? You have a bigger margin on a product like that, right? So you could charge less for it, or it's a little bit more cost effective for the patient than Botox. So it's like you've definitely got 100 practices out there that are using Xeomin but claiming it's Botox.
I would say probably 78% of practices, med spa practices, especially in Florida, are one, not injecting the same number of units that the patient is paid for.
Which is why they can't give you satisfaction guarantee. That's why they're charging you for touch-ups. It's why they're doing things of that nature, right? Because I mean, it's a medical procedure, so it's like dose is going to equal duration and results. And if you're going to go with someone's opinion, spend all this money, and then don't get results, you deserve to get those results, right? It's insane.
Yeah, and then I mean, obviously they're substituting toxins indiscriminately, and then they could be sourcing the product from overseas, from Europe, from Canada, from all sorts of places, or could even be counterfeit, where they actually try to, duplicate the look, the packaging, the vial, the hologram, everything, and they'll put some, cheap type of botulinum toxin in there. Not all that dissimilar from what's going on with peptides right now, but yeah, so there's all those different avenues to, cut costs with Botox, and it's rampant. It's rampant. It's hard to even control this industry at this point.
But here's the thing. I mean, I think people just think they're going to get away with it, right? I think that's the problem. And I don't think there's enough, there isn't a big enough regulatory body put in place to combat it, right? Because there was such a big boom, and they just don't know how to combat it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just Botox. I mean, it trickles down everything from the equipment that they're using.
That's the easiest thing to point out, though, right? I mean, you got a logo, your company's logo on the device. That's not a thing.
Yeah, but most people don't realize
It's
that.
not a thing.
They might think that's really cool.
Yeah, you're not able to purchase a device, and they're like, "Well, would you like to put your logo on it?"
Yeah,
It's not a thing.
yeah, you can't white label lasers.
No.
And same with the dermal fillers. I mean, same with pretty much anything you can provide at a medical spa, whether it's from medications to the dermal fillers, to toxins, to the equipment that they're using.
Why do you think it's so common, though? Because do you really see this in any other industry? Like, what other industry are people able to cut corners and do things like this? So it's like, how do you combat it? Because I can't see that they enforce something where they're like, a doctor has to own a clinic, right? Because then what would hospitals and all those type of private sectors and orthopedic institutes, surgery centers, what are they going to do? Because they're more.
But there are some states where that's the case. I mean, it's not impossible. Oh yeah.
But I mean, what does it do to Florida and all the big groups that are in everything of that nature? Don't you think they would fight that? They're not going to let something like that roll out. They've got too much money invested. I mean, they just built a massive hospital on Donald Ross. It's owned by a group. It's not owned by a doctor.
Well, I think hospitals are different, but solo practices, I think they could easily implement that.
But then what about urgent cares? You put every urgent care out of business, right? They're not owned by physicians. They're owned by groups.
Some of them are, but if they're not,
what about the percentage though? Look at the scale.
But do you even see? Remember how Ideal Image did it? They had a doctor tied to a lot of their locations as like a partial owner for places that required physician ownership.
Yeah, like the Georgia one and stuff.
Exactly.
But here's the thing with that. I mean, that's when compliance sacrifices safety, right? They're just using it to like use it as a loophole type of thing. I mean, I've told you this so many times. I wouldn't be doing it at this scale without you.
Hmm.
Not a shot. Zero. I mean, because it's just like, as who's gonna answer it? What you can't. I mean, the supervising physicians are great. They're there to address immediate concerns, any issues, anything that's going on. But you've got to have some sort of superior position or level of authority that has understanding of everything, 100%, right? Because without that, then what do you do?
Yeah, and I
You just
mean,
have standard operating procedures and videos, and it's like, I mean, here's the thing. It's like you have an adverse reaction needs to be dealt with. There can't be negligence. You got to focus on the patient and remain compliant. That their shit was just like, if you have something go wrong, like read a manual.
there definitely needs to be some kind of compliance framework put in, like so that for any place that opens up, they 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 get a specific kind of medical license and medical business license, and it requires all these different.
The pharmaceutical, I sent you that like they're trying to pass that. I hope they do pass that, where you have to be like in Botox is a prescription. You know, everything's a prescription. You need to be regulated by the Board of Pharmacy. That'd
Mhm.
be great. That would be great. So it's like, why don't they just put it into effect? Why is there this whole learning period where it's like, maybe we do it, maybe we don't do it? Like, just put it into effect. Just do it. Make everyone comply. If you can't, same with laser. I mean, you and I know we always drive by this clinic that advertises laser hair removal, etc.
And they're just like a brow salon.
And it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't have the licensing for it.
How do you do that?
Just like a lot of
You
these
also
IV
have to have a
places.
doctor. You cannot be in an electrology facility. An electrologist cannot practice without collaboration of a physician.
Mhm.
You can't.
Yeah.
You physically are not allowed, at least in the state of Florida.
And a small rinky-dink little brow shop is not going to be able to afford a medical director and get all the licensing and get in a full-time electrologist in for something they offer on the side. It wouldn't make financial sense. So they're
No.
definitely breaking the law. It's probably, I mean, it's so rampant. It's ridiculous. We're talking about a place in the parking lot where we're in right now.
It's just it's I think it could be due to a lack of education though. That's the only justification I can give it, because when you think about crime, real crime, right? Money laundering, drugs, um, bad crime, evil stuff. People hide it, right? Nothing is broadcasted. You do it knowing you're trying to get away with
Mhm.
something. But this stuff is just flat out broadcasted.
Yeah, it's fearless.
It's just flat out broadcasted, right? Same with the peptide stuff. People are just flat out giving. I'm on TikTok live scrolling. Everyone's just giving recommendation. How many units? This is how many units of Retta should I be doing? What do I reconstitute how much back? They
How
just
much
go
backwater do I
back.
use?
It's just
And how
back. It's like
much do I
abbreviations
inject?
for it. And they're just like giving advice, and
And then it's like, oh, but this is for, they call them research peptides. I noticed they constantly call them
But
that,
what
research
what
peptides. There's no
program are
research.
you? No, but it's what program are you on? I'm taking this, and this is my recommendation towards you. It should be illegal. That right there alone, that sentence.
That's acting as a medical provider.
Forget that. Forget them acting as a medical provider. It's not for human use.
No.
It's for research purposes. You are saying what you're on and giving your recommendation to another human,
Hmm.
right? Because it's not who else is talking to you through this phone right now. So
It's like being a
how
criminal and
is
like openly telling another criminal how to commit the crime and being proud of it and having live TikTok feeds and all these social media sites supporting it. It's mind-boggling that
maybe
they
we're
haven't
maybe
cracked down
maybe
on
we're maybe we've got no fucking idea.
it.
And we're just too. I mean, I don't. Yeah, like, how do you go about it? How do you get? Everyone's obviously getting away with it, or maybe they're not getting away with anything. Maybe they're just able to do it. Clearly, right? They're just allowed to do it.
I mean, they're going to be allowed to do it until they're not. And who knows how soon that'll happen? Could take years. I mean, everyone thinks everything's going to change as soon as the peptide laws are modified in July, but even still, I don't think that's going to close down all these research peptide places.
No, and here's the thing. I mean, we have patients ask all the time, and they're like, "Can you get me BPC 157? Can you get, this glow stack and all this stuff?" No, I mean, we can't. There isn't. You have to realize when you're regulated, or like if you are open to audits, or if you've got a certification like Legit Scripts, you can't. Like, you physically can't. The only way I would be able to do something like that is by getting it from China. That is it.
Or you just get it through pharmacy
that has a front.
Exactly.
And they're ordering it through China. And you just think you're okay because you're ordering it. But when you get this product and you see this, how could you look at it and be like, this is acceptable?
I know. It's crazy. It's complete garbage.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, you got to think about it. Remember the tokens they just had to do for the for controlled for promise. High tech stuff like the flash drive with thumbprint, and you've got all these authenticators on your phone. It's like you've got to go through a lot of hurdles to push a script through. There's a lot of verifications that must occur to confirm it's you, especially with controlled, and allow you to push this prescription through for your program.
Yeah.
People are just selling. There's nothing. It's just a sale.
Yeah. It's just like you can't get them from any of the big players. Don't you?
You
of
can?
course.
No,
you can't.
You can?
You can't.
What do you mean?
You can't. No, I mean, you can't get all these research peptides.
There's big clinics out there doing it.
Oh, I mean, like the big ones, like Hims and Hers.
Oh,
and
yeah,
yeah.
But big
like
and
BioStation. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're Wild West. Like that. That's crazy what they're doing.
And they're reputable. They're supposed to be very reputable. They're not. They've been around a long time. It's a big company. They've got some. I know they have good people on board. I just know. I know. And I don't know why. It doesn't make sense to me because I know they're good. Like, I know they're good. I know they have some good people, some good practitioners, and they're able to do it and market it.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing. I mean, how are they getting away with marketing it?
Well, it's organic marketing. It's not like an advertisement where you're paying Facebook or Google. It's just organic. Like, they're just posting it on their social media and stuff. But it's marketing to their current patients, right?
Yeah.
The internal marketing. And they're able to do it.
I'm really surprised they haven't gotten in trouble.
How are you allowed to prescribe something like that as a practitioner?
Well, you can't source it legitimately.
Yeah, because it's
There's
always
no
it's
way.
all for
We've
human.
looked.
It's not for human use. So how do you do it?
And the vials look completely different. Doesn't matter where they're coming from. If you have a pharmacy that says they have it, they give you something that was not created from them, and they just ordered it through back channels, just like anybody else on the internet. And
No, I mean, yes and no though, because we were entertaining that one Legit Script certified pharmacy.
Yep, that's what they did.
And they have it's a front.
Yeah,
It's a front.
it's a front. It's just like a complete.
Because
back
you
channel.
gotta think about how much money would be made if we just started rolling all this stuff out. Tons, right? We could tons.
How many people we get asking for all of these
Tons.
things?
I mean, the truth is tons.
Yeah, and
It's unethical.
we can't do it.
It's unethical. And I'm not saying that that peptides are bad. I'm saying because, I'm saying that you shouldn't be sourcing it illegally. That's what's bad. right? You should be able to trust your supplier, trust your sources. We had a big issue with Candela. Candela's a great company, one of my favorites. Incredible equipment. You know how device reps usually hop around? You always have a new rep for
Mm-hmm.
something. That I've had same rep forever. Very reliable, just good people. You butt heads with them sometimes, but they're a good company, right? I could continue to purchase as much as I hate them sometimes. They had a part where we were buying equipment and we shit was just breaking. Like constant rescheduling patients, constant faults, constant issues. And like they're coming out rebuilding Alex heads, Yag heads, like tens of hours, dozens of hours, like fixing them. And I'm like, God, like they're reliable, and they're doing it though. They're coming out fixing stuff, and like they're doing it. But we've got such an issue with rescheduling. All these patients are pissed, right? Why
Yeah.
can't they get? Why do you keep rescheduling me? Why is your laser always down? Why does your equipment suck?
Mm-hmm.
And these are new. These are the new devices. None of the old ones. And I'm reaching out. I'm like, dude, you got to be honest with me. Like, what the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm.
We had a supply issue. And we had a supply issue, and not necessarily cut corners or anything, but something with supply, and we had to source parts from elsewhere, and certain components couldn't keep up with other components, and it's just crashing the devices, you know. But he admitted it, right? He's willingly admitting this, and they're dropping off their demo units so we can continue to treat, right? They're bringing in other lasers while they're working on the lasers. But, they sacrificed one component of a massive operation. And what did it do?
Yeah.
It put the whole thing into shambles.
It's like the weakest link.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be contingent on the weakest link of
Mm-hmm.
something. So
It's the same thing with this, you're going to bring in one little piece to your operation because there's some big craze going on. Who knows what's going to happen? It's the unknown. Whether you believe in peptides or not, whether you like peptides or not, you can't source it appropriately to where has to be there's no compliance with it. You cannot source it appropriately. It's impossible. You can only purchase it from China. It's illegal to compound
I
it.
just want to be clear in one
It's
thing.
illegal to compound in the States.
All of these guys, these so-called peptide experts that are usually muscled up type of guys, and they're giving anecdotal reports on, how amazing each peptide is and all the things it'll do for you. I mean, first of all, those aren't verified outcomes. They're just anecdotal. They don't mean anything. And second of all, the reason those guys look the way they do is because they're on 2 or 3 anabolic steroids. They don't mention that. They almost imply that their current physical state is due only to peptides. And
it's just false advertising.
It's insane. It's just like that guy that was the liver king or whatever, like.
What happened with him?
I don't know. I'm sure he still
I haven't
has
heard about him in forever.
But, it's the same thing,
What
He
happened?
looked so big because he was on like 5 or 6 steroids.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
it wasn't from eating liver, but
yeah.
it's the same kind of thing, and it's completely out of control. And only someone that was not a medical professional, not an educated person, could make such outlandish claims and not be held accountable for them.
No, that's false. That's not an accurate statement because we see it.
Well, that's true.
No,
you see doctors doing it.
And
nurse practitioners,
No, and
yeah.
like doctors of medical doctors.
Yeah.
And nurse practitioners, PAs, all sorts of stuff. No, so I mean, they should be held to the highest standard, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I guess, it's all the same common denominator, money, right? That's all it comes down to. But, you're sacrificing patient safety, you're sacrificing your reputation, you're sacrificing a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that guy in the Epstein files. I mean, he was a world-renowned doctor, right? World-renowned. And since he populated so much in these transcripts, I mean, what did that do to his reputation, right?
But he's okay now, isn't he?
I'm not sure. I haven't followed up the story, but It's like one little thing like that. Look what happened. Look how much transpired out of that. And I think it'll come. I just wish it came faster, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I wish it just I wish regulation rolled out sooner. I wish people realized stuff was wrong, and you know, it's due to a lack of education. It's a lack of authority, and there's nothing else you can do. You know, here's a good example back to our Botox point. We bring in we love hiring new talent, right? Giving people a shot, training them up, teaching them the right way. You're talking about hundreds of hours of training to get a nurse practitioner, PA, to the standard you want to get them to, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot of work. And it's very expensive because you can't pay them so $10 an hour, $20 an hour.
Exactly. You got
Right?
to pay them while you're training them.
Yep, very expensive. And then you've got all the product, also very expensive. A lot of the times when you have a good enough relationship with the company, they'll support you there. But then also the companies don't always have the best trainers, right? So then you get someone like Chris involved and other providers that they can shadow. So it's just a big, expensive operation, but it could end up being very fruitful. It turns out to be very beneficial. You develop a career. It's not a job. And my example with that is when they train, it's like training on friends and family. You could train on me and you can inject me. And you notice, you're like, dude, your glubella's popping out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought that was just normal, you know? And he's like, no, it's not normal. Like it shouldn't, you need to dose it correctly and that it won't occur. I'm like, let's give it a go because it looks horrible.
Yeah.
It's just that I just think that I thought that's my face shape. And then, you know, Chris injects me, right? Versus a brand new provider. And brand new providers, they'll have to learn. And it takes time. And it's night and day, right? It's night and day because I'm not going, how many units do I need? Can you put them here? This is what I want to look like. This is what needs to happen. This is my budget. I only want to do this. I've had this happen before. It's just like, do your thing.
Yeah. I
Right?
wish everyone was like that.
It's just like, do your thing, right? One, it's elective. You don't have to do it, right? So if you're going to go get something elective, you should want it done right. And I just sit in a treatment chair and he just does his thing. That's how, and everything turns out perfect. And if it doesn't, if the 1% probability where it doesn't, we back it.
Yeah. That's really important. You have to have a place that follows up, honors their commitment to satisfaction, and corrects any issues you have. It should never be something you have to fight for.
We had there was a patient at one of the practices. I forgot to tell you about this. Because they just came to me like, can we compensate? Like, what do we got to do? And I was like, well, what's the patient's phone number on file? I got to take a look. What's going on? So she came in. She did like, I don't know, 36 units of Daxify or something. I'm like, okay, so where did you inject that? Or like, how many areas did you do? And they were like, because they were just determining like she's going to come in for a touch-up. I'm like, because I'm reading it, you know, we require in the progress reports that if the patient doesn't go with their medical opinion, right, they have to chart that because they need to know that in 2 weeks if they need to come in. Well, you didn't want to listen to my advice. This is why you're moving. This is why it's not perfect. And so she came in and it was like 30-something units. I was like, I'm, you know, thinking it's like, one area maybe, right? I don't know. And she's like doing multiple areas with that, which is basically like what, like 18 units of Botox, right? 36, 18, yeah. I'm like, how though?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like, and well, because she this and that. I'm like, okay. Well, what was it? Was it because I don't see it in the notes. Was it a budget thing or was it we didn't treat right thing? Right?
Yeah.
Tell me, you know, what was it? And they were honest, and they were like, you know, I think we didn't treat right. Because there's nothing in the notes that it's a budget thing. And I'm like, well, then the touch-up's no charge. I mean, you know, they got to be honest, but she came back in, she got her touch-up, you know, a couple units, everything's perfect after that. But I'm like, you know, the provider also has to fully educate the patient, you know, on all levels. It's so important because if And that's another thing when you're a medical provider, you need to know, and which is a continuous training because of new products, new things. 2 units a day, or however you reconstitute, whatever it may be. 1 unit of Botox is not 1 unit of Dax-5, which is not 1 unit of Dysport, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you could really dive into that. And it's important to know, like, based off of our company conversion, that if you're doing 40 units of Botox, you're doing 100 units of Dysport and everything in between that,
Hmm.
right? So, um, patient came in, touch up, no charge, and everything's fine after that. It's a learning thing, it's an education thing. Um, but it's important as a patient that you're going to an establishment like that, right?
Yeah, and I think it's also important that the provider educate the patient on the difference between units, because a lot of people come in, they're getting 50 units of Dysport, and they think that's somehow equivalent to 50 units of
It's like, why do you
Botox.
think the price is different?
Yeah.
Like, cute bit, like we're talking about like $150, $200 versus
Hmm.
like $500,
Yeah.
$600.
So, I mean, you have to be very careful that people say, "Oh, I'll only ever get is 50 units." Like, well, it was probably 50 units of Botox, not 50 units of Dysport. And there's not a good with between providers and patient. There's not a good because it's easy to get confused with the patient. We have all these different types of toxins, different unit conversions, etc. So it's very easy for the patient to be confused about how they've been treated before. So they have to have some faith in who they're going to, that they're going to do the correct thing. They can't just tell the provider how to inject or how much
How
to inject.
common is that though?
It's reasonably common that the patient wants to guide the provider on what to do. And you have to be able to talk to them about it. You have to be able to say, no, like, listen, you're not going to have a good outcome if I listen to what you're saying. You have to.
Why do you think that's would you ever go to like
I know it's.
any other profession? And even let's talk about something for a second. You're not fond of chiropractors, but do you think anyone's walking into a chiropractic office and be like, "This is how I want you to adjust me"?
No,
Do you think ever?
probably not.
You
They
know,
might,
so it's like, or it's like, do you go into
or when you get your car fixed, you tell the mechanic
mechanic?
how to fix your car, or I mean, you could kind of say, oh, well, you go to
No,
cut your hair, it's
what you
similar,
look for is you
but
look for results, right? This is the problem I'm having. This is what I need. How do we get there?
yeah.
Right? And no matter the field. And you should just trust the professional you're going to. And
And if you don't find someone you do trust,
mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's like when I start seeing patients for the first time, they're like, I'm really looking for someone I can, maintain a
That's the
constant
most
relationship with.
common thing I hear
Yeah.
from like, if I'm the most common thing that I hear throughout all the offices is like, all these new patients that are coming in, they're just looking for a home. I
Yeah.
was like, I told you guys this. They haven't found their home.
Yeah.
Right? And that goes for every practice out there. They need to find, and it's not just, it's elective, right? It's elective. So you have to be able to adhere to that patient and provide not just a good outcome, but if they want to talk to you about something, talk to them about it,
Yeah.
right? Because it is elective. It should be a good experience from when they call your office to when they're checking out and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
And because they deserve that on top of the results that they're paying for, or else it's fraud. I mean, there's
Yeah.
still, or else it's just fraud. It's the only way I could look at it. Um, you even with Dysport, I told you, I like the one time I did it, I hated it. Because my eye twitched, I had a headache and all that, and the first thing you said was it wasn't injected correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I don't want to ever do it again because of it's like an annoyance.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's injected incorrectly, right? You just knew it right off the bat. And that just comes with experience. I mean, how many
And
patients have you treated? It's
but
like,
that's another thing is some patients think it's just a product, right? Like, you're putting like as same as applying cream to your skin. I mean, no, it's. I try to explain to patients, just because you had a bad result before with what you're telling me happened, the com- the highly variable component in what you're saying is the provider.
Mm-hmm.
You know, either they didn't inject the right amount of units, they didn't inject in the appropriate anatomical locations, or they lied to you about what they did. So there's like a lot of variation there, and so that's the hardest part is you have to struggle with the patient. Be like, if I do this the way I want to do it, and you think it's the exact same thing you had done last time, which produced a bad outcome, it's not the same thing. It could produce a completely different outcome because the service is different. The
Mm-hmm.
service component is different, and they don't understand that a lot of the time. They think it's going to be the same. If they get 40 units here and 40 units from someone else, it's going to be the exact same outcome, and it's not.
I go to the same restaurants, right? You find a restaurant you like, you go to the same place over and over and over again, right? You buy cars from somewhere, you find the place you like where you buy cars from, you go to the same place over and over again, right? You don't switch up because it's always you have an outcome that you can expect. It seems like that isn't always the case. In our industry specifically, right? It's like you expect the same outcome at a fraction of um, the price, or at a fraction of the time, or there's so many different variables that come into it. You're anticipating the same outcome at a completely different establishment,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, how can you justify that? Here's like, even like for HVAC, or for like the cabinets and the build outs. Remember, I built those cabinets out in my house, and then we started using them for all the offices. I was like, or the closets. I knew what outcome to expect. Why would I change?
Hmm.
It's like, why would we change? There's no point. It's like, you just want to continue to use the same people because what you're going to pay for is going to produce what you want.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's transitioning though. I think everyone sees that. I think it's starting to change. I just think there's too many factors coming into the market to where you've got all this unregulated, uncompliant, things,
Yeah.
nature's outcomes and variables occurring that it clouds judgment.
Yeah. I mean, when you have everything being marketed as a product, and people are comparing prices just purely like as if it were a product, then it kind of it totally disrupts the whole premise of the industry. Like, I mean, it literally is a service industry that involves products. Like, it's just like your mechanic has to use car parts to fix your car, and he needs to get the best parts available for your car, the ones that are warranted, ones that produce consistent outcomes and good results. But he also has to know what he's doing. He has to be a great mechanic. And so it's not like it's the same kind of thing. You have to have good products, yes, but you need a good provider to apply those products. So
And a good way to put that into perspective is if you have the same medication, right, tirzepatide or testosterone, right, sourced from the same pharmacy, two different prescribers, two different doses, two completely different outcomes, same technically product, right?
mhm,
Or if like you have the same steak, two different chefs following the same recipe, you think they're going to cook the same
exactly,
thing?
exactly,
I-
not the same thing. So yeah, people just need to start learning. I mean that it's not a product. It's not a product at all. So and
It's a product utilized in a procedure. It's like, sir, I mean, we can give 101 examples about it. It's always going to be the same thing. But what's important is that forget all that. Just find someone you trust and continue to go there.
and
Because
I
there's
always
always going
tell
to be
people,
unethical
I
people in
mean,
any industry.
look at who's doing the service. I mean, typically if they don't look aesthetically balanced, if they're not, if their Botox looks a little ridiculous, if their fillers look a little exaggerated, That's probably not the right person to go to.
You know what's so funny? I'm always like, if you know, I see trainers in the gym and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, how do you have a book of business?
Exactly. Someone that looks like they've never lifted a weight in their life, and
Isn't
they're a personal
Aren't you
trainer.
supposed to practice what you preach, right?
Exactly.
Um,
It's like going to a weight loss doctor that's morbidly obese. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And the same with all these longevity guys out there. So many of these snake oil salesman asshole longevity experts, they literally look like they're like almost dead. And yet they're giving all this advice and guidance on how to maintain youthfulness and look your best and etc. When they're like literally a contrary indicator to all those things. They're completely contrarian to whatever they're saying. They're an example of what not to do, you know. So it's ironic in that sense.
yeah, I mean, people are gonna pick who they want to pick, right? Practitioners are gonna practice the way they want to
Yeah.
practice, but you know, I mean, you've got to whenever you're making any type of transaction, you got to be able to to believe in what you're purchasing, and it's just important. You know what's cool though is we I see it. Um, we've got all these technologies, right? Different devices, different pieces of equipment, and the companies will market it as if they do the same thing, right? You have this laser that does this laser that does that, and then because they compete, you know, they're competing that, oh, my product does this,
Mm-hmm.
but we know it doesn't, right? And then we're like, this is what it's meant for, you know. And like a perfect example is the Toro. You know, when we purchased the Toro,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talk about a worse launch,
Yeah.
a worse. I mean, it was just unjustifiable how awful their curriculum was around this piece of technology,
Yeah.
right? And it is so effective when used appropriately, but not for half the shit that they're claiming, you know? Tattoo removal, incredible. For, you know, it's supposed to be amazing for all these other things, and it's like either you know, you don't have the right protocols, you don't. I mean, it's like, how do we sell it to a patient? We can't. You can't. We can use it in this realm, um, tunnel visioned, but for nothing else. And so it's like, you know, it's the same thing, different level to
How's
it.
it going with that? With the whole tattoo removal? It's complicated, right?
I mean, you see it, you know.
I mean, do you have patients that are unhappy with the progress? Do you have patients that are,
No, no unhappy patient. You know, in Jupiter, yeah, no unhappy patients. It's not a. I don't market it. You know, we just have it.
mm,
Um,
the reason I'm concerned about it is because it's a difficult procedure. I mean, you have to do multiple procedures. There's some downtime afterwards.
which is why we could not roll it out at every clinic.
Yeah,
You know,
it's complicated.
right? That's why I mean, you know, when I told you when I was buying this thing, I was like, and you were like, well, we need to see how it goes, type of thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, right? And so it's like, you know, just case by case, no issues, nothing like that. I mean, you know, no adverse reactions, but there's not enough data to go off of yet, right? It's not like we're performing thousands of procedures.
Hmm.
But also another thing is you've got we talked about this way back. Electrologists performing tattoo removal, that's not allowed.
Yeah, no,
So it's
that's
like
not.
all the nurse practitioner. You know, I see it I'm like, that's how they're doing it. Like they've got a tattoo removal device. But how's the device company just sells it to them because the medical director signs off or whatever, but
Exactly.
it's not allowed. I mean, it's crazy. But, you know, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the industry, and I like the stuff I see rolling out. I mean, there's audits, there's things being shut down. I'm hearing things. It looks good. I mean, I'm definitely. I feel like we're taking a step in the right direction on whoever is starting to regulate it. But if a big group of doctors wanted to come together and start enforcing some stuff, I mean, I feel like that is something I could back.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You need a separate kind of regulatory body
Like a private
involved.
sector,
Yeah.
government funded type of nonprofit
Mm-hmm. board
board of compliance for, you know, a certain wing of medicine,
Yeah.
healthcare, whatever you want to call it. But thanks for tuning in to Inside Out Med, guys. We will see you next week.
Thank you.